Good morning. We've got some chairs out for the event in the beautiful sunshine, so I would definitely encourage you, don't be shy. If you see an open seat, please take advantage of sitting in it. That's what they're there for. We've got a chair for Commissioner Jacobson, who is our commission chair, and then obviously Commissioner Orton. Any other seats are fair game. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today. I am so incredibly excited that today arrived and we can officially launch our new department name and mission statement. As of today, the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control is officially the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services. Oh, thanks. This is more than just a single word change. It signifies who we are as an agency. We are service focused. We serve all Utahns, whether or not they drink alcohol. Along with the new department name, I'm excited to unveil our new mission statement quickly, which says, the Utah Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services oversees the sale and distribution of alcoholic products in the state of Utah. The department proudly serves all Utahns, whether or not they choose to drink alcohol. We recognize our important role in the community in which we financially support crucial government services, support local businesses and tourism, and prioritize alcohol prevention education for the health and safety of all Utahns. We honor our statutory legal obligations and value our duty as public servants working for all Utahns. A question I often get is, how does the DABC, now DABS, serve people who don't drink alcohol? Well, I'll tell you how. We serve in the hundreds of millions of dollars that we help generate for the state and local governments, funding services and programs that every single one of us use. Things like roads and transportation, police, public health, education, the school lunch program. We serve all Utahns in our role as partners and supporters for the food and beverage industry. We have the important job of ensuring that businesses, like many here at the Gateway, have the information and tools that they need to open and operate legally and safely. We also support tourism in our work with restaurants and bars, community events, and Utah entrepreneurs, including brewers, distillers, winemakers, some of who I'm looking at in the back there. Thank you for being here. It's good to see you. Our commitment to serving business owners and community events is outlined in the DABS's new Starting from a Place of Yes philosophy, which is grounded in supporting these groups by clearly communicating what is required to operate legally and safely. When the DABS does our job in supporting hardworking business owners, we support all of Utah by contributing to our state's wonderful cultural and economic vitality. I often say the most important thing we do at the DABS is in our alcohol safety education work. Much of this is through the statewide Parents Empowered Underage Drinking Prevention Work Group, overseen by our very own Doug Murakami on our DABS team. Parents Empowered is made up of health, safety, and prevention representatives from throughout the entire state. Thanks to their collaboration, data-driven decision-making, and hard work, underage drinking in Utah is the lowest in the nation and consistently trending downward. I am so proud of the work of this committee, which began years ago with our staff and one of its founders and #1 cheerleader, Art Brown, that I'd like to recognize. And by show of hands, if you're in the prevention community or a prevention advocate or even Art, if you could just raise your hand for a second. I'd like to thank you for all of the work that you do. As a mother of 2 young kids, I can tell you that their work matters for the health and safety of all Utahns, not just my family, not just your family, every single Utah family. This year, the DABS is kicking off key service-focused initiatives. Many of the new programs are thanks to the governor's budget priorities And thanks to the state legislature and our hardworking legislators for providing the funding that we need to get these projects off the ground. Quickly, those include Click and Collect, where customers can make DABS store purchases and then conveniently and safely pick their items up in a nearby store. Technology infrastructure improvements in our stores and for our compliance office. These updates will make inventory tracking and restocking easier and quicker. And finally, online payments possible for business owners and other alcohol license holders. No more just paying by check and money order, by mail or hand delivery. We're establishing a new customer service help desk, and something I'm really excited about is a recognition program for bars and restaurants that pass public safety inspections. Those who work in the restaurant industry are familiar with these inspections where undercover police officers visit establishments to check that alcohol service laws are being followed. We want to acknowledge and show our appreciation for the businesses and their employees that are diligently preventing underage drinking and not over-serving their customers. Now I'm going to introduce our speakers, and I'll just introduce them all in one fell swoop, and then you'll have them come up and we'll hear from them. First, we'll hear from Senator Jerry Stevenson. Senator Stevenson works closely with alcohol policy issues in the Utah legislature. He is also responsible for the bill that is making our department name change possible. Senator, it has been a pleasure working with you on these complicated issues, and I appreciate your hard work and your partnership. We have some other ledge leads that are here kind of coming and going, and I'll recognize them at the very end. Next, we'll hear from Michelle Corigliano, representing the Salt Lake Area Restaurant Association. In her work with several Utah restaurants and bars, Michelle has a great understanding of how the DABS work impacts the industry and why our service-first mission is important for businesses and the economy. In my time as the DABS director, I have really valued the experience and expertise that Michelle and her membership with Solara bring to the table as we work to ensure our operations are meeting the needs of the hospitality industry. And finally, we'll hear from Liz Kelch. Liz is a leader in Utah's substance use safety community and an active partner through the Parents Empowered Work Group. I'm grateful to Liz for her dedication and knowledge of these important health and safety tips that affect all Utah families. Before I step down and let our speakers make some remarks, I'd like to just give a quick shout out to our DABS team and all of our employees that are here and maybe at the stores or warehouse and have already been working since really early this morning. Could you all just raise your hand or stand if you're here as a DABS team member? These are folks like Cade Meyer, our Deputy Director, Michelle Schmidt, our Communications Director, Vicki Ashby, Val, just to name a few, Tom Gibbs. So many of our team members have been working to help execute this name change and this transition. So many little details from the website changes on forms, making today's event really possible. So I just want to thank you for that work. But again, the work that you do in the trenches, on the front lines, whether it's as a member of our compliance staff, a member of our retail store community, or a member of our warehouse staff and community there. I'll also recognize the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services Commission members. We've got with us today our chairman, Tom Jacobson. We've got, stand up. It's the least we can do for you with all of your hard volunteer work. We've got our other commissioner, Commissioner Jacqueline Orton, with us today. Other commissioners who are not here that serve, again, with a really incredibly difficult job and mission is Stan Parrish, Juliette Tennert, Tara Toohey, Natalie Randall, and Jennifer Terrazon. Our DABS commissioners are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the state legislature. They serve on a volunteer basis. And again, as I mentioned, their jobs are not easy, but they take their responsibilities really seriously, and they dedicate hours and hours and hours every month that the public typically doesn't even see, right, outside of the meeting, trying to do the very best job they can do to be prepared for each meeting, and be prepared to make the tough decisions that they're often asked to make. So I appreciate your support and your dedication and your leadership between the department and the commission work. It's really important. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Senator Stevenson to make some remarks.
I appreciate very much the opportunity to take a few minutes. I'm going to be brief, but I'm going to get off of my script just for a second. First, I'd like to especially thank the commission. You know, a lot of these jobs we get are not what we call high paying. They're not real flamboyant. We don't get a lot of things to go with them. There aren't a lot of freebies, but the work has to be done. And this commission is certainly one that does that work. The other group I'd really like to take a minute and thank would be the employees of the former DABC. I'm not one. I get hung up on acronyms. I went to Hill Air Force Base once, and they were using acronyms, and I couldn't figure out what they were asking for, and so they called me up front. When I got up front, they handed me a sheet that had over 200 acronyms on it. They said, at our next meeting, we will expect you back with all of these memorized, so you know what we're talking about. And I think I'm going to be okay on this one. It's only a one-letter change. However, I am still saying things like DATC, and the technical colleges haven't quite got me converted yet. I was a board member there for quite a while. Let me just after thanking these groups, I'd like to also thank the industry and the prevention folks. You know, this has been an amazing position to be in. When I asked why I would be assigned this position from the legislature, John Valentine, who formerly kind of watched things from outside on alcohol and alcohol laws, he said the reason you're there is because you're fair. And if I'm not fair, I would expect those of you that are in the industry, those of you that are of the commission, I would expect you to come and tell me that I'm not being fair on what I'm trying to do. We work hard. We receive a lot of varying opinions, and I just appreciate that people that when we look at the diversity of ideas that we have tied with alcohol and alcohol control or alcohol service, it's such a broad area. But I appreciate the kindness everyone works with as we go through this process. I can guarantee you that, and I don't make a lot of guarantees as a politician, but there will be an alcohol bill in the Utah State Legislature in 20 years, unless there are drastic things that cause that to change. Just because it's a changing industry, because we have people of more diverse nature that are moving into the state of Utah, and we need to accommodate them, and we have to accommodate it through our law, and sometimes that's difficult in 40 days or the 45 days that we work. But as we move through that process, if we don't get it right this year, we're going to get a chance to get it right again next year. So we appreciate your patience. We appreciate you working with the legislature. I want you to know what a fantastic adventure it's been for me to work with the employees of the DABC, with the commission, and with all facets of alcohol and alcohol service in the state of Utah. I thank you very much for allowing me to come here for a few minutes this morning. Not sure who in the Chamber of Commerce put today together, but I'd like to invite them to come to my next event. So thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I am the Executive Director of the Salt Lake Area Restaurant Association. We represent the independent restaurant and bar owners in Utah. We work a lot with legislation, and we work very closely with the DABC. Our owners are individuals that live here. They are entrepreneurs that work 80, 90 hours a week to make sure that our independent restaurant and bar community caters to residents and to tourism, which is a huge part of our economy. And working with the DABC is a very big deal. It takes up a great amount of time. In the last couple years, we have seen such a major change at the DABC. We have seen efficiencies that we've never seen before. What that means for residents is that instead of owners trying to track down product or running around trying to fix problems that they used to have that had to be dealt with the DABC, now they have the DABS, and it honestly saves so much more time, so they can create businesses that are much more, it's just better for the residents of Utah. One thing I'd like to say is when tourists come here, they don't say, where is the nearest fast food place? What they say is, where's the best local restaurant we'd like to experience Utah? And that is why it's so important to keep our industry strong. And with the help of DABS, we have seen such a great difference in the recent past. It's just been incredible. And it hasn't just been talk. When DABS decided to change, or DABC decided to change to DABS, many times you see that kind of thing as just a PR stunt, and that has not been the case. I'm here to tell you that we have been solicited for feedback of our members multiple times over the last year and a half. And our suggestions and our desires and our needs have been met with immediate response, which we've never seen before. It's really been incredible. And we're so appreciative of that. And it helps our owners be more successful and prosperous. One of the big things is the product line. When products are better available for the public or for the licensees, they're available to the public. So going down the line, it's just helps everybody here in Utah. And it also brings in a great amount of money to the state, which also keeps our taxes low. Our owners are very committed to safety. We often say that it's better to perhaps have a cocktail at a restaurant or bar rather than home, because you have our owners and our managers really looking out for the safety. We're making sure that guests aren't being overserved, they're not leaving and driving drunk, and they're very diligent in making sure that they're not serving underage drinkers. And I'll tell you, there's one big thing that I'd like to point out. Back before I got this job, I was at a dinner party. I told you this story recently. And there was some silly alcohol law that came up, and I wasn't working in the industry at the time. And when this silly law came up, I pounded my fist on the dinner table and I said, these laws have to change. I want to be put on the DABC commission so I can make changes. And what I've realized over the last 6 years is there's a very distinct difference between the DABC, now DABS, SBI, which is in charge of enforcement, and legislation. And the DABS is really in charge of just making sure that the legislation is followed. I'll tell you, that dinner party, I happened to be sitting next to a board member that made me take this job. So always be careful what you complain about. But, we recognize the difference. We understand that the limitations of legislation, the DABS kind of gets the blame. And I'd like to point out that they do an excellent job, and they have been working with the industry immensely, and we really, really appreciate everything that's been done over the last year and a half to 2 years. And we'd also like to do a shout out to the commissioners. We know that you work for free. We know that it's a time-consuming job, and that sometimes your decisions are very difficult, but we've always found them very fair and honest and transparent, and for that we really appreciate the work that you do. So with that, I will turn the time over to Liz. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Liz Kelch, and I'm the director of the Utah Substance Use and Mental Health Advisory Council. I am so pleased to be here and congratulate the Division of Alcoholic Beverage Services on this occasion. I would also especially like to thank Executive Director Clayson and Doug Murakami, who is our Alcohol Education Director, for their ongoing partnership with us and with the local partners. So they do an amazing job of bringing our state and our local partners together to make a really great campaign, and their ongoing dedication to protecting our youth and promoting the health and safety of our families. I'm sure you're all well aware of our Parents Empowered campaign, an award-winning Parents Empowered campaign in its many forms. In its 17th year, this campaign really has proven to be an ongoing success that demonstrates how DABS and its partners care about our families. Because of the focus and attention of DABS, the Underage Drinking Prevention Media Campaign, and the community grants, and I really want to point that out. It's not just TV commercials and radio ads. We're getting into the communities and helping our local communities decide what they need on an individual level, a local level. They've been able to implement evidence-based practices and use available resources like our SHARP survey, semi-annual tracking surveys of parents, and an independent evaluation to ensure that the campaign is meeting its underage prevention goals. Since its inception in 2005, in these 17 years, we are pleased that Utah's 30-day youth alcohol use trends show a 63.8% overall decrease. Our common goal with all of our state and local partners, and especially with the DABS, is that healthy families and youth with strong brains and a bright future. And because of this hard work and attention of our DABS partners, an excellent committee of state and local partners, Parents Empowered utilizes proven methods to educate our parents that they are the number one influence in their child's decision not to drink. And we teach parents through this campaign that they need only 3 things: bonding, boundaries, and monitoring. This responsive and dynamic program, and I love what the other speaker said, because it changes constantly. We always get to go back to the legislature and try again and see what we need to improve. But that is the beauty of the DABS partnership. It is a dynamic program, has been crucial to the success that I mentioned earlier, and I want to thank the DABS staff, the commissioners, and the partners everywhere for their ongoing and continued work. Executive Director Clayson has been amazing to support and to be at our events, and to, as she said, she sees this as an important part of what DABS does, and we appreciate that so much because that is felt at all levels. They are truly a standard of how a state agency can lead to improve the lives of our Utah families everywhere. Thank you so much.
Before I conclude the event, I also want to just make sure to thank our partners at the Gateway, who really worked hard to make sure that we had a comfortable space to enjoy the beautiful weather that Senator Stevenson mentioned was special ordered for this event. Thank you for working with our staff and making this just such a beautiful morning and a way to really celebrate this name change. This would have been really easy to just do from our office today, do a post really quick on social media. But again, it's been really good to get together as a team with all of our partners, legislative, industry, prevention, and so many of our other partners here, again, prevention, industry, etc. So I look forward to visiting with you all as we conclude this event. Please feel free to take a water and a DABS iced cookie before you leave. And for members of the media, we are all available for one-on-one interviews if you're so inclined to take them. This concludes our event. Thank you.